Hey guys, before you get into this video, you'll notice that it's an hour-long class, and I had originally intended this video to be a part of my YouTube membership and Patreon. So news for you, I'm starting a Patreon. However, I had some technical difficulties with this video and I just didn't feel comfortable putting it behind a paywall, so I'm just putting it here on YouTube so that you can still take the class with me for free. And then next month you can expect an hour-long video to be released without any technical difficulties, please, on my Patreon, and if I can reach the requirements, on my YouTube membership as well. Since I don't say this in the end of my video, please like and subscribe. I would love to have you in my little dojo. Come and join me and enjoy the video.
What's up, ninjas? Welcome to Yoga with Dojo Cat, and welcome to our first 1 hour class. Thank you for joining me on Patreon. I so appreciate you being here and you supporting me here on Patreon or in the memberships helps me keep doing what I'm doing, and I appreciate that so much. So thank you. Let's just get into our flow today. It is going to be a full body flow, but there is going to be a focus on the legs. We're going to stretch and strengthen our lower body today, but we will give our upper body a little bit of love as well. So you can come into a comfortable seated position on your mat, whether that be cross-legged here in easy pose, or if you'd like, you can sit on your knees. And we are just going to begin with a breathing exercise just to get our minds in the right headspace, to give our bodies some love, to give ourselves this time with some movement and some stretching. So if you like, you can join me in closing your eyes. And we're going to do a box breathing technique. So as you inhale through your nose for the count of 4, hold for the count of 4 at the top, exhale for the count of 4, and hold again at the bottom for the count of 4. And just repeat this. We'll go through a few rounds. If you'd like, you can also mentally set an intention that you can carry with you for the rest of the flow or the rest of your day. So when you're ready, close your eyes. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. One more time. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Let your breath resume its normal pace. Beautiful. You can slowly blink your eyes open and we will get into our flow. We're going to begin in a cat-cow. So you can come onto your hands and knees, stacking your knees under your hips, your hands under your shoulders. And as you inhale, drop the belly, lift the tailbone and chin to the sky. And exhale, round the spine, tucking your chin to your chest. Press the mat away. Inhale back into cow. And exhale, cat. Keep going at your own pace. This is one of my favorite little flows. Just feels so good on the spine. And if you need to add in any organic movement, whether that be rolling your spine and your hips, or doing some spinal waves by dropping your hips down to your heels and then rolling your shoulders back up over your hands. It's whatever you need to do to feel good in this movement. Beautiful work. We're gonna take our hands a little wider than our mat, and we're gonna give our upper body a little bit of love here. So turn your hands out so the fingertips are facing away from you. And we're going to drop one shoulder at a time. So right now I'm dropping my left shoulder and bringing my left cheek to the mat. And then push back up in that right hand, rolling over to the left side, dropping the right shoulder to the mat and right cheek to the mat. And just go back and forth a couple times. This is beautiful for the shoulders, the shoulder blades. You're also going to feel this in your chest. One more time each side. Beautiful. Come back to center. I'm just going to turn to face you for this one, but you can feel free to stay where you are on the mat. But going back into that tabletop position, we're going to extend that left leg out. And we're going to keep our foot at kind of an angle. So it's not quite straight on and it's not quite facing the short side of your mat. It's got this nice little angle, almost as if it's going into the corner of the mat. So starting with that right arm, roll it down and up, going forwards. And switch directions, going backwards. Then bring that arm to the sky, taking a deep breath in. And exhale, slide that right arm underneath, bringing your right cheek and right shoulder to the mat. And from here, you have a couple options. With your left hand, you can extend it straight out in front of you, or you can take a bind, wrapping it behind your lower back. Whatever you feel like you need in this moment. If you've taken that bind, release it, planting that hand and pressing back up. Plant your hands underneath your shoulders, and we're just going to rock back and forth, bringing your bum to your heel. Beautiful. You can bring that left knee underneath you, and we'll take that to the other side. Straightening the right leg, having that little 45-degree angle with the toes, and going back to those shoulder rolls with that left arm this time. Sweeping that arm in nice big circles, going backwards, and switching directions, going forwards. Inhale that left arm to the sky, and exhale, slide it underneath the right. Left cheek and shoulder to the mat. And if you took a bind on the other side, try to take it on this side as well. And release that bind. Plant that right hand and press yourself up.
And rock back, bringing your hips down to your heel. Come back into a tabletop.
Bringing your knees back underneath you. From here, I'm just going to turn back to the short part of my mat. Once you're back in that tabletop position, you can bring that right foot in between your hands and then rise your torso up for a low lunge. So in this pose, just make sure you have the proper alignment, that knee is over top of your ankle, you're pressing that knee outwards, and you're trying to pull this right hip backwards and this left hip forwards. And then also you're thinking about where your tailbone is. So let's pretend that we actually have a tail. Pretend that tailbone extends and you have a tail. And you're trying to tuck it underneath you. So if your tail is sticking out like this, think about pulling it underneath. You also have the option to extend your arms up to the sky if you'd like a little shoulder work today. But I understand if you really want to focus on getting this nice little stretch before we get into our peak poses. Bring your fingertips to the mat, curl your left toes, lift that left knee, take a step up so that your toes are facing a 45-degree angle off the mat. Your lead toes are facing straight on. And you can straighten all the way up, rolling one vertebrae at a time. And then inhale your hands to the sky at the top. Bring your palms together, exhale, fold forward over that lead leg for pyramid pose. Now, if you need a little bend in your knee to protect the joint, or if you can only reach your shin instead of the mat, that's okay. You're also free, if you have props, if you have some blocks or something, you're free to use those as well. In fact, if you have them, I encourage them because they're a great guide to help you keep track of your progress. Beautiful. Bend that lead leg. Bring your toes to match, meeting in a forward fold. Relax your head. Let your top half hang. You can keep your fingertips on the mat. And then putting our weight into that left foot. Take a big step back with that right foot, dropping the knee down. Untucking the toes, low lunge on the left side. Beautiful. Bring those fingertips to the mat. Curl your right toes. Lift your right knee, take a step in, roll yourself all the way up, one vertebrae at a time. Inhale your hands to the sky, palms together, exhale, fold forward over that straight lead leg. Again, taking a little bend in that knee if you need it. I'm always a proponent of listening to your body. Something doesn't feel right, take a little step back, readjust, and meet me in your modified version. Awesome work, guys. Bring your toes to match, meeting in our forward fold. If you like, you can get a little bit of nerve flossing here, bending one leg and straightening the other, and switching back and forth. And find some stillness. Plant your hands, step back into that tabletop position. Bring your knees wide and drop your hips down to your heels for child's pose. Bring your forehead to the mat. Let's keep those forearms lifted though. We are in the beginning of our flow, so we want to stay active. Take some deep breaths in through the nose, filling up the chest, filling up the belly, and exhaling through your mouth. Bring your knees together and roll all the way onto your belly. And from here, we're going to go into our broken wing pose. So you can bring the tops of your feet flat to the mat. Extend your arms out into a T. I'm gonna have to shift a little bit. Bring your left cheek to the mat, your face cheek, not your butt cheek. And then we're going to take that right leg and pick it up and drop it over top of that left leg to bring that foot to the mat on the other side of our leg. Now, if that is too intense for you, and it can be a pretty intense pose, you can take some blocks or a pillow and put them on the floor underneath that foot to give you some height to help support you. Or if you don't have any props, just bring your knees up, tucking them to your chest, and then gently press in with this right hand as much as you can without hurting yourself. So pick whatever adjustments you need. Bring that foot back to the mat, roll onto your belly, and we'll take that to the other side. So right cheek to the mat, picking up the left foot, dropping it over top of the right, or taking that knee tuck adjustment, and then pressing into that right shoulder. Release this twist, bringing that left foot back to the mat, rolling onto the belly. And just take 1 second here, crossing the arms in front of you, resting your forehead on them. Give your bum a little wiggle. And take a couple of deep breaths before we get into the hard part of our flow. Beautiful. Plant your hands under your shoulders. And then we're going to roll ourselves up into a cobra, lifting the crown of our head to the sky and having a nice back bend. Curl your toes and lift your hips to the sky for downward facing dog. Relax your head in between your biceps. And if you need to, you can get some movement in this first downward facing dog, pedaling your feet out one at a time. Or you can rock up onto your tiptoes. Oh, if you heard that crack, that was my toes. And then when you are ready, find some stillness. Try to melt your heels to the mat. Find your breath. And most of all, during this flow, I want you to try to stay present on the mat. So if your mind starts to wander, you have a big to-do list, or if something happened that your mind is focusing on, just bring it back to how your body is feeling, the mat underneath you, and your breath. Yoga is a moving meditation, and it's a great way to take your mind off of the outside world and just bring it inward. Just be. You don't need to do anything. You don't need to do anything, I'm telling you. You can just hang out on your mat and just be. Oh, hello. Inhale your left leg to the sky. Exhale, bring that foot in between your hands and then rise up into a crescent lunge. So your toes on your right foot are going to be facing the same direction on the left foot. Again, think about tucking your tail underneath. If your shoulders are burning at any point, you can bring them down to your heart. Bring your hands down to your hips. We're going to turn our toes so that they're facing the wide part of our mat, but straight on. So there's not going to be any angle to our feet. They're going to be facing straight forward. Inhale your hands to the sky. And exhale, hinge at the hips, folding forward for a wide-legged forward fold. Again, if you need any bends in your joints, go ahead and take them. And take some deep breaths, inhaling to create space, exhaling to release tension. Bring your right hand to center and inhale your left arm to the sky for a nice twist. Release the twist and switch. Left hand at center. Inhale the right arm to the sky. Release the twist. Bring your hands to center. And we're going to bend deep into the left leg, coming into Skandasana. If the heel on that left foot comes up, that's okay. Some people aren't that flexible in the soleus. Some people can bring their heel all the way to the mat. It's just a matter of how flexible you are and how you're built. Okay, so right toes are pointing straight up to the ceiling. The right leg is straight. And if you need to have your fingertips on the mat to help you with balance, that's fine. If you like to add a little challenge, you can bring your palms together, or I like to grab onto my fist, and then bring that left elbow inside the left knee, and then press open for a twist, taking your gaze up to the ceiling over that right shoulder. Bring your fingertips to the mat, and we're going to turn our hips to the front of our mat, meaning back in that low lunge on the left side. Make whatever adjustments you need to get that proper alignment. I'm just gonna bend and straighten that mid leg a little bit. She's burning. And bring your arms out to a T, twisting your torso to that lead leg, taking your gaze behind that left shoulder. And then drop that right hand to the mat, bringing that left arm above you. Release the twist, rising back up to that low lunge. We're going to pick up the right heel to the bum and just reach back with that right hand, pulling that heel towards your bum for a nice little quad stretch. Gently, gently release that foot back down to the mat. From here, we're going to pick up the right toes and pivot them behind us, straightening the left leg. And we're going to keep the toes flat on the mat, facing the short part of our mat. From here, drop the right hand to the mat, extend the left arm overhead for a beautiful side body stretch. Oh, it feels really nice. Think about the length in your body that you're creating here, all the way from the left fingertips down to the toes. You're really trying to reach your fingertips away from your toes. And release. Turn back towards that left foot. Coming back into that low lunge, making whatever adjustments you need. Plant the hands, curl the right toes, press into downward facing dog. Just take a little body scan here. How is your right side feeling compared to your left? Are you feeling more flexible on one side? Is your heartbeat moving a little faster than normal? Or are you breathing a little heavier? We're all just taking this time to give our bodies the movement they need to be happy and healthy. Inhale the right leg to the sky. Exhale, step in between your hands. Rise that torso up, bringing hands to the sky. Crescent lunge on the right side. Bring your hands down to your hips. Turn your toes to the wide part of your mat. I'm just going to turn to face you. Toes facing straight forward. Inhale, hands to sky. Exhale, hinge forward at the hips. Coming down into a wide-legged forward fold. We're going to move back into that twist. You have the option to go into the twist we did already with your hands at center, or if you'd like to bump it up a little bit, making it a little more intense. You can take your right fingertips to your left foot, and then inhale the left arm to the sky. So it's a lot more intense on that left side. Release the twist, coming back to center, crawling all the way over to the right. Left hand on the right foot. Inhale the right arm to the sky. And release, come back to center. We'll move back into our Skandasana pose here on the right side this time, so bending deep into that right leg. Oh, that was my knee. Straightening the left leg, toes pointed towards the ceiling. Fingertips for support to the mat if you need them. We're bumping the intensity up by bringing the right elbow inside the right knee. Pressing into a twist. Gaze up over the left shoulder. Release that twist, bring your fingertips to the mat. Turn towards that right leg, coming into a low lunge, untucking your toes, dropping that right knee, bringing your arms parallel, twisting back to that right side, gaze to that right hand. And then bring the left hand to the mat, taking that right arm overhead. Release the twist, coming back up into that low lunge. Get the left heel towards your bum, reach back with that left hand, grabbing onto that foot and pulling the heel towards your bum for that quad stretch. Gently release that foot. We're going to bring our fingertips to the mat and then gently pick up that left foot and pivot it so that it's pointing backwards. Straighten the right leg, toes pointing to the short part of your mat. Left hand to the mat, extend the right arm overhead for gate pose. Release this pose, turning towards that left leg. So now you're facing the front of your mat and press into downward facing dog. Get some more movement here, pedaling out your feet. We're going to put our weight into that right foot and pick up the left heel to our bums, keeping the knees aligned for a flamingo variation of down dog. Now you're going to notice that that right heel is almost forced to the mat. If that's too intense for you, just go right into our regular down dog. Inhale, straightening that leg all the way to the sky. Exhale, step in between your hands, rise up, crescent lunge. Bring your arms out parallel, twisting to that right side, gaze backwards with that right hand for a revolved crescent twist. Release that twist, coming back into the crescent lunge. Now we're gonna go into a balancing pose right from here. So give yourself a strong kick off with that right leg, keeping it elevated off the mat if you can. Reach back with that right hand, grabbing onto the right foot. And then keep that left arm extended. Slowly tilt forward so your torso is parallel and kick your foot into your hand for dancer pose. Release that foot gently, bring that foot behind you again, except this time we're bringing that foot parallel to the short side of our mat. Bend the front leg, meeting in a warrior one. Suppose we're trying to square our hips to that front of the mat. We're pulling the lead hip backwards and the rear hip forwards. When I say lead and rear, I mean the lead is whatever leg is leading, right? It's a fighting thing. So this is my lead leg, this is my lead hip, this is my rear hip. On your next exhale, bring your hands inside that left foot and then tiptoe your foot to the edge of your mat. And then we're going to pivot on that right foot so that the knee is facing down, and then you can go ahead and drop that right knee to the mat and untuck your toes.
and meet me in a lizard pose here. So this is a deep hip stretch. If you're not that flexible in your hips like me, you can just stay up here on your hands. If you like, you can come all the way down to your elbows. You can also come onto the blade of the outside of your foot, and it just kind of opens up your hip at a different angle. It's just a matter of feeling what your body needs right now and then doing what you need, right? Not necessarily what I'm doing. I'm just here to guide you. I'm not here to boss you around and say, you need to do exactly what I'm doing. It's not how I roll. One more breath in this pose. And as you exhale, tuck your toes. Lift that right knee off the mat. You're gonna take your left toes and point them out at that 45-degree angle. And take a big step forward to bring your right foot to match your left, meeting in a garland pose here. So I'm just gonna turn to face you guys, just so you can see what I mean. So again, really important, tucking that tail underneath. Weight is in your heels. You should be able to lift your toes and wiggle them. And also a nice long spine is really important in this pose. You often see people like hunch over like this because it's not a very comfortable pose. It's pretty uncomfortable. We want to keep that nice long line from the crown of our head all the way down to our tailbone. And if this isn't deep enough for you, you can take your elbows and press your legs even further apart. Again, it's all up to you, seeing what you need, finding your edge. Beautiful. Bring your fingertips to the mat, straighten your legs, tiptoe your feet in about hips distance apart. Meet me in a forward fold. You can tuck your hands into your elbows and just let your top half hang, swinging back and forth. If your hands are tucked into your elbows, just release them. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back, gaze forward. Exhale, forward fold. And plant your hands to the mat, step back, downward facing dog. We'll go into that flamingo down dog variation again. Otherwise, you can stay in a regular down dog, but if you want to join me, bend that right knee, keeping the knees aligned. Feeling that left heel get closer to the mat. And on your next inhale, fully extend that leg to the sky. And then step in between your hands, rising up, crescent lunge. And you can bring your arms out into a T, twisting, twisting to that left side, taking your gaze behind you to that left hand. And release the twist, coming back into that crescent lunge. And then from here, we'll go into our balancing pose. So nice strong press off with that left foot, lifting that leg up, reaching back with that left hand, grabbing onto the front of that left foot, tipping forward to bring your torso parallel, extending right arm overhead to help with balance, kicking your foot into your hand for dancer. Beautiful. One more breath in this pose. Gently release that foot, step back, bringing that foot parallel to the back of your mat, and meet me in a warrior one, bending that front leg, extending your arms to the sky. Reach down to the mat, planting your hands inside that right foot. Tiptoe that foot to the outside of that mat, or to the edge of your mat. Turn the left foot so the knee's facing downwards. Drop the knee, uncurl your toes. Meeting me in a low lunge, in a lizard pose on the right side. So whatever you did on the other side, try to do it on this side as well so that it's balanced. But keeping in mind that one side is going to be different than the other, right? This is my right side, it's my dominant side, it's more flexible. And probably can even come down to at least one elbow on this side, whereas the other side is really challenging. It's just, sometimes it's just all in the way that you're built. I know you're probably really uncomfortable right now. Just bring your mind to your breath. Again, inhaling to create space, particularly in the areas you're feeling tension, and exhaling to release that tension. We'll move into that garland squat from here, so you can curl your left toes, pick up that left knee, take a big step forward, bringing your feet at that 45-degree angle, sinking into that deep garland squat. Release your hands to the mat, straighten your legs, tiptoe your heels in, about hip distance apart. Meet me in a forward fold. And then you can roll up one vertebrae at a time, nice and slow. Roll your shoulders up and down away from your ears at the top. And from here, we'll go into some nice side bends. So you can inhale your hands to the sky, grab onto the left wrist with that right hand, and exhale, bend to the right, pulling on that wrist. So you're gonna feel a nice stretch in the whole left side. Come back to center, switch your grip, take a deep breath in, and exhale, bending to the left. Release, coming back, take another deep breath in, and then exhale, swan dive down into forward fold. Turn towards my mat here. And then plant your hands, step back into plank, drop to your knees, meeting in cobra. And as you exhale, bring your knees wide, coming into child's pose. That is the hard work done for this flow. Now we're just going to take a couple of nice relaxing poses to cool down the body, get some nice stretches in. But just take a couple of breaths in this child's pose just to really focus on the cool air coming in through your nose, going down your throat,
filling up your lungs, lifting your belly. And then as you exhale, feel that process reverse. Feel the air empty out your belly and drop your chest, coming out of your throat warm as you exhale. If you like, you can also give your forehead a little rock side to side, massaging the forehead and also dipping one elbow down at a time to give our shoulders a little extra love. And you can rise up and we're just gonna sit all the way through, crossing our legs, coming to our bums, extending our legs, and then rolling onto our backs. Bring your knees up to your chest, give yourself a little hug here. You can rock side to side. Bring your arms out to a T or cactus if you don't have the space, and drop your knees over to the left, taking your gaze over that right shoulder. Try to keep that right shoulder pinned to the mat. If it isn't quite staying there, if you have a little bit of space in between your mat and the shoulders, just put some pillows underneath your knees for the support, and that's going to help you keep that alignment. Bring your knees back to center. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, drop them over to the right, gaze over the left shoulder. Release the twist, bringing your knees back to center. Take your arms, reach in between your knees, grabbing onto the outside of your feet. And just keep your heels close to your groin for now. You can rock side to side, feeling a nice stretch in your inner thighs and a nice little massaging of the lower back. And then when you're ready, extend your feet to the sky, pulling your knees into your armpits. And you can also get a little swing side to side in happy baby as well. And you can release this pose, extend your arms and legs, getting one more big stretch. And as you exhale, bring your hands down beside your hips and let your toes fall away from each other. So bring your mind to your body. How does it feel on the mat right now? Let yourself be heavy. Let your glutes and your calves and your shoulder blades melt into the mat. If you find your mind wandering, try to bring it inward on how your body is feeling after all that work, soaking in the practice you just did. And if all else fails, bring your mind to your breath. Go back to that box breathing exercise that we did at the beginning of class, just focusing on counting your breaths. But make sure that you take this time to quiet your mind. You deserve this moment just for you.
ready to rejoin the world, you can slowly blink open your eyes and wiggle your fingers and your toes. Bring your heels up to your bum and roll over onto one side, extending an arm above you to use as a pillow. We'll stay here for a couple of more breaths. And then press yourself up into a comfortable seated position. And that is it for today. Thank you so much for joining me for our first hour-long class. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you feel amazing right now. All right, some really important things for you to do. You need to go and drink some water, go outside, go touch some grass, and take your vitamins. All right, I will see you guys next month for our next hour-long video. If there's anything that you would like me to include in our next flow, just let me know. You can message me here on Patreon in the community. You can send me an email at dojocat713@gmail.com. You can reach out to me on Instagram at dojocat713 and or on my YouTube channel. You can leave me a comment there. There's all sorts of places you can reach me. I guess that's it. I'll see you guys next time. Os.